Hello my little loves and welcome back to the Urban Butchery Channel with me, Franco Macellaio. Now today's show is being presented to you from the Isle of Wight, which is an island just off the south coast of England, and it's an absolutely stunning day. So on today's show I've got something really special for you, and it's quite unique in my butchery career as well. What we're going to be doing is boning out a lamb or a mule. Now this particular lamb or mule was 42 kilos, which is absolutely enormous. Anyway, let's get on with the show. So here we are guys, a 42 kilo lamb or mule. The mule part of this is a Suffolk and a blue-faced Leicester, and this was then bred with a Texel Charolais, which produces this enormous beast. As I also said, that it's a first for me in my butchery career, boning out such a big thing. Anyway, let's crack on with this. So first of all, I'm just counting the 6 ribs down on the shoulder, so I'm going to cut between the 6th and the 7th rib. So I'll make a nice straight line down there with my 5-inch geyser. And then I'm just marking the loin on the other side there, so I can match it up when I cross. So I've just broken through the sternum there. You need quite a sharp knife for this. So very important is to count on the other side as well. It's so easy to go down the 5th and 6th or the 7th and 8th. So there you see me just matching up against that line that I made and break through the sternum on that side. So now we take the butcher's saw and just push it down through the sternum and down onto the backbone and saw through. Of course, you're not going to damage the meat with the saw blade because you've already cut through it. So we'll just move it into a bit of a better position for you guys to see. So now I'm finding the joint, which is in between one of the vertebrae, which is just at the end of the H-bone coming from the leg or the hip bone. So I've just found it with the point of my knife, and now I'm cutting it with a steak knife. The steak knife is a Victorinox 11-inch, one that I've had in my possession for about 8 years. And then just use the butcher's saw again. Just go down through the spine and cut it through. Now I take my knife, we're just looking for any sawdust that might be on the meat. Just scrape that off, get that out of the way. Do the other side there. A little bit of edge maintenance, which is very important. If you need to know how to maintain the edge of your knife, please look at one of my edge maintenance videos on the same channel. So now I'm splitting the legs in half. So we're going down through the middle of the H bones there. And there you've got a nice shot of it. So now we're going to saw straight through the what's left of the spine and the tailbone. And then we'll just cut this in half now. Let's put the leg to one side. So I'm just pointing to that little bit of skirt on the side there. So we're just going to remove that. Of course that won't be wasted, that will go for manufacturing. And now we just remove that connective tissue there. And all the excess fat on top of the fillet there. Now I'm pointing to the top of the fillet. I'm just scoring right the way down the side of the H-bone there. I'm releasing that fillet, but I'm not taking the fillet off because the fillet will remain with the lamb chump. Or the lamb rump, as they like to call it these days. So I'm just splitting through that end vertebrae there, just to remove that. I like to do it this way. A lot of people will take this all off in one. Nothing wrong with that, but this is just my personal preference. Okay, so now I'm looking for the split between the oyster bone there and the tail. You see me just push it up there. Now we go down the back of the tailbone, just using the point of the knife, and off she pops. So we just trim the end of that H bone there. There's a little bit of meat just left on there. You won't be able to help that. And we'll put that with our trim. So now I'm taking off, well, what you would call on beef and pork, the spinal muscle. Not sure whether it's called that on lamb or not, but we'll call it that. And now just going through the Achilles tendon on the end there, and we're just going to saw off that knuckle joint at the end there. So I'm just going to zoom in on this, because this is a really nice little urban butchery hack, really. Because a lot of people do have problems taking off the chump when it's bone on and getting the right angle and cutting it in the right place. So I'm just going to show you a different way of doing this. So what we're going to do is take the H bone off whole, as you'll see. So we're just working our way around that. Just nip that off, nice and clean, lovely. Now then, just watch this now. So I'm just pointing to the fillet there, so I'm just removing the top part of that fat there, just so you can get a better view. Just take that little bit of skirt off there as well. Bit of connective tissue. And now, just the tip, just move the tip of that fillet. That's as far as you go. Now, if you look where I'm sticking my thumb there in a moment, I'm pointing to the fat there, and I'm pointing to the end of the thick flank. So I'm just sticking my thumb inside of there. There's like a seam. So once I've done that, I can now actually see where I need to cut without taking any of the thick flank with the chump. So all I need to concentrate on is getting that leg straight. So if you look at the fat there, there's no meat left with the fat, and the meat is left with the meat. As you can see there, the end of the thick flank, what I'm pointing to there, is left with the leg. It's a little urban butchery hack for you. So there's one leg done. Now this customer wants this cut in to 2 pieces. Just cut that straight across. Because the chumps a bit later on, they'll go for steaks. Wow, the size of that leg, that's massive. Scrape any bone dust off there, very important. If you leave that on there and it goes in the fridge, it does have a tendency of turning green. So I'm just trimming the lamb chump up, or lamb rump. Pointing to the fat there, so there's no meat on there. And now I'll show you that one again, but with the other leg. So as before, we're just removing the skirt. That just comes off the breast. Now the connective tissue. And now we're taking the fat off the top of the fillet. And removing the thick skirt underneath. Connective tissue. And just some excess fat from the top there. Now through the end of the fillet, working our way down the H bone, and the base of the tail there, that last vertebrae. And you'll find there's a silver membrane just down below the fillet, which you don't go any further. into with a knife. So just breaking that last vertebrae off, trimming it up. Very important edge maintenance. Just trim the end of the H-bone off. Like I said, this will go for manufacturing. Lamb burgers, kebabs, that sort of thing. Lamb mince. And then underneath the tail, through that oyster joint. Just get some excess fat off the end of the tail there. And away comes the lamb spider muscle. Through the Achilles tendon. Of course, some butchers leave this on, which is perfectly acceptable. Just a little bit of tendon there, and get rid of that. And then we're going to take the H-bone off. And this also gives me the opportunity to show you the little Urban Butchery hack. Again. As you see, I'm not wearing a chainmail glove. I would advise anybody who's starting out in butchery or a knife user in general to wear a chainmail glove. Of course, I've been doing this for a lot of years and do feel quite confident that I'm not going to cut any little bits off myself. So there's the H-bone off. Just a bit of fat off the fillet there. Just trim that little bit of excess fat off the end of the leg there. And now, just that little nick just in the top of the fillet there. And that will reveal the joint there between the fat and the thick flank. And just nick in there with your knife and then stick your finger in there to separate it. Then it gives you a perfect visual of where to cut. So all you've got to do now is concentrate on making sure that leg is straight when you cut it. There you go. No fat. Sorry, no lean left with the fat. All the lean left with the leg. Isn't that a beauty? Whoa. Okay, so we're just going to cut this off. Through the steak knife. And then scrape any bone dust that's on there. Let's get rid of the bone dust. These legs will be, well, they will have a couple of strings put around them a bit later on. So next, let's move on to the shoulders. Very simple trim on this. It's just debone the rack out, and then we're just going to cut the shoulders in half. But before I do that, there is neck rings to be had from this. So here's another little Urban Butchery hack for you. Now, rather than cutting the rings after, cut the rings while it's still on the shoulder. You've got a nice bit of stability there with the shoulder for when you're going to saw these. Isn't that lovely? Just works a treat. And the last one. Then we'll just cut all four off together. And then we'll separate them all off now. Now I'm just going to trim these up a little bit. So we're just going to take the paddywhack out at the end there. Of all these, the paddywhack is like a big tendon, which helps the head to lift up. So we're just getting rid of that. So the next thing we'll do is put our steel down through the center, and then we'll take out the spinal cord. Of course, you can leave all this in if you wish. I've been around lots of supermarkets where they're selling lamb neck rings, just totally complete. But I just like to do it this way. Of course, you need a round steel for that. So there's the neck rings done. So now back onto the shoulder. A little bit of edge maintenance. I'm using a coarser steel there, and then a smoother steel. So I'm just cutting down the backbone there, or the back fin, on both sides, keeping as close to that bone as I possibly can. I'm going to turn it over, so I'm just going to cut round the top of the sternum and work my way down the rib cage. You can just start to see the rib cage appearing. But I'll only take it down as far as, well, when I can actually start to see the neck fillet, which you'll see in a moment. So there's both sides of the rib cage revealed. Here's a nice little Urban Butchery hack for you again. Lots of hacks in this one. So while you still got the stability of the shoulder, just take away the top of the sternum there, rather than chopping it on the block or it moving around when you're trying to cut it. Just break it off. And off it goes, and we'll trim those up a little bit later on. So we decided to make a little bit of sense now, a bit more edge maintenance. So we've got all this chine meat on the inside of there. So of course, by removing the breastbones, or the sternum, it reveals this and we can take it off a lot easier. So that's one side taken off. And the other side taken off. So now we're going down the middle of the chine bone, just clearing that meat away. And then I'm going in and out of the vertebrae there. Same on the other side. And now just work my way down, keeping really close to that bone. You can hear my knife scraping on it. So that's one shoulder off. Now we'll do the same on the other side. Of course, you can saw these in half, like we did with the leg, and do them individually. But of course, this lamb came in complete, so this is why we're doing it this way. So I just put the bones underneath. They'll be trimmed a bit later on for manufacturing. So here's the shoulder now. So I'm just pointing to the paddywhack there, which we're going to take out. And there's a lamb neck fillets just to the right of that. Just trimming a little bit of excess fat off there. There's not too much trimming on this one. So now I'm just going to saw through that joint on the end there, but I'm going to leave it on. Then we're going to cut it in half. Just to do two simple lamb shoulder joints on the bone. little bit of scraping there, very important. That's it, then we'll do exactly the same with the other one. So paddywhack out. All the excess fat off the end there. And then we'll be sewing the knuckle, leaving that on. And then we'll just cut the shoulder in half again. Bit of a scrape. And we just pop it to one side. Now then, we're going to go for the loin and breast now. So just open that up for you there. So the first job is to remove the kidneys. So we just take those two little beauties out. I mean, to be honest, they're roughly the size of pig's kidneys. They were. And now we're taking all this excess fat out inside the cavity there. It's a little bit of liver left in the slaughtering process. Just take all that excess fat off the top of the fillets. So now we're going to saw the loin in half. This takes a bit of time, this. Of course, you've got to remember the line, so you've got to keep a nice central cut going all the way down through. You just got to really keep going at it, really. Of course, if this was a normal sized lamb, it would have been through this about a minute ago. So there we go. And now just through we go. Bit of a scrape. I do believe in a moment I'll take the spinal cord out. That's what I normally do. But before I do that, I just saw the breast off. And there you see me taking the spinal cord out just with the tip of the knife there. Just ensures a bit of an eating experience. Do the same again on the other side. Now I've got to say, this mule, it was a particular delight to work with. It was really nice. Just lovely meat. Lovely layer of fat. Beautiful bark. the veg maintenance, and away we go again. So we're just going to do one of the breasts. So the breasts are just a simple debone and roll. What I'm doing there is just taking away that membrane off the top. When you cook this, if you leave the membrane on, it can make it shrink up. So you just take that away. And now I'm just removing that skirt. And just take away that breastbone there. So now I could sheet these bones out, but I've decided to take them out singly, just to utilise all those finger muscles. So I'm just cutting down each rib bone and taking away the cartilage bone on the end as well. I'm just checking, make sure there's no cartilage left inside. Bring that back up. And that'll go for rolling a bit later on. So now do exactly the same with the other one. So away with that end strip. Away with the membrane. You notice I cut that first because you can't pull all the membrane off in one go. It comes off in two sections. So first section, there's the second section. So obviously a little bit of bone on the end there that I'm not happy with. So we'll single bone these rib bones out again. When I used to bone bacon, I used to put that left hand behind my back because your knife used to slip out quite a lot and just catch your fingers. So it's not as bad on lamb breast. Yeah, the next week or so I should be doing a lamb breast video, how to stuff a breast of lamb 2 ways. So keep your eye open for that. So we're nearly there with this one now. It's a good check over. Make sure I've not left anything in there. And then we're going to go on to these loins. I'm only going to show you one loin. Then we'll bring in another tool here. This is what they call a fat basher. And they normally use this on beef cod fat. But I'm going to use it for knocking a steak knife down through the joints. Now this will give us even chops. And lovely thick chops as well. It's just an alternative way of doing it. Of course you can cut these down if you want. It's only a gentle tap through the lamb. You can do it by hand as well. But I do prefer this method. It's a little bit safer. So you're just putting your knife in every vertebral disc, really. That's what it is. So take the steak knife. Look at those. Beautiful. So there you have it, guys. There's your lamb chops. Of course, I'm going to do the same with the next loin now, but we'll move over to the money shot. So there you have it, guys. The monster lamb deboned. So there we go. We've got the leg joints. We've got the neck. We've got the shoulders cut in half. We've got the loin chops. We've got the roe bellies, and we've got the kidneys there. I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I enjoyed doing it. I'll catch you next time on the Urban Butchery Channel. Skills for life.